He murdered his wife and says he is deeply sorry. But even with an apology, the family of Jessica Bollinger call him a monster. Good evening, I'm Lauren Caldwell.
I'm Tom Gerhardt. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Derek Bollinger is sentenced to 30 years for killing his wife in March of 2010. Bollinger beat Jessica to death in their Bismarck home in front of her 3-year-old son. Judge Donald Jorgensen heard from Jessica's mom and sisters, all asking for the maximum sentence for Derek Bollinger. They all called him an animal and a monster. Prosecutor Pam Nesvig says both Derek and Jessica had problems with drug use and alcohol. She says the day of the murder, the couple decided to split. Nesvig says pools of blood and blood splatters were found in nearly every room in the Bollinger home. Jessica had at least 10 blunt force injuries to her head and face. Nesvig says Jessica was unrecognizable. She describes her brutal death.
Kept punching her in the face. Saw her jaw was broken. After he saw this, he drug her into the bathroom and ran water on her to try to revive her. Grabbed the bar stool, threw it across her back and it shattered. Put her on the floor in her bedroom and left her there while she was twitching and making gurgling noises. Left her there with her son.
Derek Bollinger told Jessica's family he's sorry and he hates himself for what he did.
I love Jessica very much, but we had a very tumultuous relationship. And at times, I let my emotions overcome my judgment, and I lost control of myself on that night. I never meant for Jessica to be hurt so badly. I'm so ashamed of what I've done, and I have nothing but regret and remorse.
Again, Bollinger was sentenced to 30 years in prison for the murder. He will also serve a 5-year sentence for child neglect, which will run at the same time.
For the first time, we hear from that young boy who witnessed his mother's death. Very emotional testimony is given at Derek Bollinger's sentencing hearing from the family who is now raising the 4-year-old. Kevin and Chris Kramer have adopted the boy, and today Kevin Kramer speaks for Abel.
And then Chris asked Abel, do you think you will ever forgive Daddy Derek for what he did to your mother, for killing your mommy? And he's very clear about what you did. He is very clear about it. And he said, without taking a breath, with all the confidence that a child of God ought to have, of course I will. I love him. That's Abel's words. Those aren't my words. He dictated every word of this. It says, Daddy Derek, I love you. I am 4 now. I can ride a bike without training wheels. That just happened yesterday, by the way. I miss you, Abel. And then he told her to write, I love you again. And then he said, draw hearts on this card. And so Chris drew a number of hearts, and he said, draw more. Draw more. I want him to know. This is Abel. You don't need to be as worried about Abel as you might think. He's a healing little boy with a more profound understanding than anybody I've ever known.
Kramer says Abel has vivid memories of his mother's death, but doesn't like to talk about that day very long. Kramer says Abel still lives in too much fear. However, 99% of the time, he's a normal 4-year-old boy.